I find it hilarious, Nicholas, that our reels and Tic Tacs where I am insulting you
Mm,
get the most views
mm.
that we have. Period.
It,
It makes perfect sense. And
oh, it does.
welcome back to TLDR. I'm your friendly neighborhood backcracker, Dr. Joe. With me, as always, is my hunk in crime, and together we are the Woodward and Bernstein of the DSG, which I am friggin' pumped for what's coming this week, Nicholas.
Ooh,
How you doing?
yes, I am. Well, good way, good pivot off of the insult off the top because I am more excited about Sean Lewis than I am about you taking another shot at me and people enjoying that. But whatever, it's the way it goes when you're the Jessica Simpson of podcasting. I understand that.
Oh, don't put yourself in that rarefied air.
I'm not the
Holy
one that did
smokes.
it. Billy D did it, not me. That's all Billy. And I don't know if it was an insult or a compliment, but I'm always going to take that
It
as a
would be a
compliment.
compliment. Jessica Simpson in her prime, I don't think it gets any better.
Well, thank you very much. But anyways, so if you're listening to this instead of watching the live stream, which we always do on Tuesday at 1:30, although next week might be a little bit of a different time because we have something planned for you guys. If you're listening to that audio version, though, we did have our interview with Sean Lewis finally dropped this week because the Scorched is finally out this week, hitting the shelves on Wednesday.
Boy,
Something we will be talking about a little bit today. But we've promoted the hell out of this. We just wanted to remind you, if you are watching us live now or if you're listening later on and haven't listened to that interview, it was a fun one. A lot was discussed. Make sure you pick up the Scorched if you're interested at all in the Spawn stuff, and make sure you listen to the interview. If you want to know more too, Sean, of course, is also the writer of King Spawn, so some insight there as well. Really, always enjoy having Sean on the show.
Yeah, yeah. The conversation was great, and finally getting to read the Scorched. Holy shit, Nicholas! Holy shit! But we will save that talk for just a few moments. We actually had a couple of big bits of news.
Yeah, so this one blew me away, and I had to go back through the release. But we found out that recently Tom Taylor, right, got the exclusive deal with DC, which makes sense that it would happen with DC, or if someone was doing it with Marvel. Totally understand something like that because those companies pay writers for hire and everything. But when you're dealing with someone like Image, where it's creator owned, they don't have say unless you're doing something under like Top Cow or maybe like Sean with Todd McFarlane on Spawn or Skybound. Like those are different. Those are their own things and whatever. Somebody does call the shots there. We find out that Jeff Lemire now has an exclusive deal with Image over the entire 2022 year.
Yeah, which A is awesome,
Mm-hmm.
and B, I hope to hell, I hope with every ounce of my being, we can get an interview with Jeff Lemire. I
Yeah.
mean, right? Like we gotta, because I've been dying to talk to him, and I know he's got some really great horror stuff planned for Image later on in the year, which is going to be great.
Right.
But it's interesting too, because like we saw all the big hullabaloo with Substack, right, back in the
Mm-hmm.
fall, right? And Lemire was one of those guys. He was doing a lot of
True.
stuff for Substack in the beginning,
Hmm.
and I've been seeing sort of less and less stuff there with him. So like
This would
I'm
explain why.
wondering, are the comic book, are the studios like actually worried about Substack, or are they just like, you know what, we're just gonna poach these guys and make sure that you know what I mean? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they're worried about Substack, but at the same time, like, let's just make sure, right?
Yeah,
Let's just make sure they
it,
don't cut us out completely.
well, and the people that would definitely worry about it more, you would think, would be someone like an Image,
Yeah,
because as much as they give a great deal for writers and creators and everything like that, they're like Substack does provide something else. And in if you, I guess, if you see it as a legitimate threat, and then you see all these big names moving over, of course, like Scott, like Donny Cates, like Jeff Lemire, like Rodney, Chip, all these different people. Some of them are going to use it in a certain way that's going to cause a threat to your business model, and then and if it succeeds, then I don't know what that does to Image. I think Donny Cates is using it. They're all using it a little bit differently. I am interested in how Donny Cates is using it. Of course, Rodney, we talked to him about it,
Chip.
and the stories he's doing over there. But like that's a great example, right? Rodney has Nita Hawes. Rodney has Philadelphia over at Image, but then he's got the Gunslinger from Hell story that he's doing over there, and like that's a story that he said fits better in a digital platform, but still like Image is losing out on that one too, because now Rodney has an outlet to go elsewhere with it.
But
So
those are shorts, I believe, too, right? Like you
yes,
said, those are only a few pages. They're not. they're not like
Sure, but
they're not big.
if Rodney didn't have that space to do it over there,
Yeah.
what's to say he wouldn't? Like, why would he go to like Dark Horse or somewhere else to do it? Like,
Right.
why he would probably find a way to do it at Image. Like, you could easily just say, I'm going to publish this book, like an anthology book or whatever, or something, like, and have a bunch of different short stories. The Image would find a way. If there's money to be made, they would find a way, and that's the place you go to with it. But now you can go and do it on Substack.
Well, but it's also interesting too because he started at Substack,
Mm.
and then he signed the exclusive deal with Image.
It
So
is, yeah.
how lucrative really was Substack for him in these first, say, 6 months?
You got to
for him to say, you know what, all right, yeah, Image. I mean, I'm sure Image gave him a bag, of cash, but DC also offered a bag of cash to Tynan. So I think it's more about I think just there's a certain structure when you've got something like Image, and when you're with the studio versus like Substack, you got to just do it all. And I think there's something to be said. I think there's something to be said about someone going, okay, I'm going to dip my feet into Substack. And he was all in at one point, like in terms of like this. Now, what Lemire was doing through Substack was mostly like, here's like old books that are no longer in circulation. Let me put these on my Substack for people to read or to buy. And he'd put art on there and certain, like, he was doing more of that kind of stuff versus like actual, from what I gathered, as opposed to like actual original content. But like, I don't know. I think there's something like, again, come this fall, we will really see the impact of Substack.
Yeah, I think that's you've been right on that the whole time. Like, what does it look like a year after? But the other thing is too, what's like double, I guess, weird about this is like if Dark Horse came through and it was like that he got an exclusive deal with them, it would make more sense because their business model, as far as I understand it, is more similar to a Marvel or a DC, whereas Image is like, if you're not Skybound, Top Cow, or doing stuff with Todd, like, and even then, I don't know about stuff with Todd necessarily. We never asked Sean specifically about that, but it's like it's more free flowing. It is your own thing. They don't have creative, like, say over what you do or creative power. So to get a contract with them, and of course, Image isn't sharing the details in this, and we don't have Jeff Lemire's ear to go and ask him about these things. It's a whole new thing that I don't remember ever seeing from Image before, like them getting contracts with anybody like this.
Well, it's kind of funny too, and I don't know if the two things are related or not, but Image just unionized, right?
That's true,
right? So I wonder if that plays and what kind of role or factor that plays in this process as well.
Yeah.
So again, this is like I want to talk to Jeff Lemire because I want to talk to him about all the books he's done. But this would be a great question, right, to talk about, like, what was it that was appealing about Substack, but then what led to you going sort of all in, with Image, right?
Yeah.
And maybe he'd give us some insight, and maybe not, who knows? But like that would be, I think, an interesting conversation. It will be one of the more interesting conversations we had because of just his breadth of work and all the shit he's written. But
I gotta think it's the upside that Image provides. I mean, to me, like, because I just wonder if that's what it comes down to with Substack. Like, yeah, you can, it's successful and a good thing to have, but like the upside isn't there. Maybe you just view it differently too. Like clearly all of these creators have viewed it differently, and maybe he sees it as more of an accent piece where some of these other creators are like, this is where we're going to do our shit. This is our platform. That's it, period. And we've seen it with other writers too. Like, it's funny. I remember seeing this more. We saw this at comics at the same time, and I didn't know much about Substack beforehand. Then I go over to, work and whatnot, and I see Mark Stein, formerly from the New York Times and ESPN, basketball reporter and everything, now has his own Substack, and that's what he does. So like, it's clearly, everybody views it differently, and they're trying to figure out how to do it effectively. And I like something like that, but at the same time, with comics, I like it a little bit less so than with reporting, maybe more so. But whole other story. But yeah, so that was the big bit of news that we got this week. It was quite odd, but we want to get to what's new. Before that, though, we have to do catching up. And you and I both did a healthy amount of reading this week. Of course, you had nothing else to prepare for because we already had the interview in the can. But what have you been catching up on since we last spoke?
So I did a whole bunch of catching up on AWA books.
Mm,
So before I discuss those, because I want to talk about a couple of them.
yeah.
Caught up on Darth Vader. It continues to just be a very solid series, and enjoying the hell out of it. Finally read Basilisk #5. Uh, man,
Yeah.
yeah.
You still got
Whoo!
6 to read too.
I know I still have 6 to read, but 5 was great. And so again, this is another series too where there's been a little bit of time in between some issues. So I want to go back and
There was.
reread
Yeah.
them all. This isn't like Ordinary Gods. I just want to reread it again, like
Mhm.
because it's so freaking good. Red Sonja, which came out last week, #5. Again, that series is so good that it's making me want to read more Red Sonja. And when we get to what's new in just a moment, there is a Red Sonja book that dropped this week. I will be looking for.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right. That's
Darkhawk #4.
from our guy
By
Kyle Higgins.
from our guy
Absolutely.
Kyle Higgins.
So
And
actually, on the Red Zone, you don't have a set date plan for that, right?
no, because I think it's ongoing.
So you could, and I know you're going to do a bunch of research because obviously that's a title that's been around for a long time. But this is Mirka Andolfo's run that you're reading.
Hmm.
I have planned to do Sweet Paprika on Valentine's Day, like whatever our Valentine's Day episode is. Maybe we could
Yeah.
just make it a Mirka Andolfo Appreciation Day since it's
I like where your head's at, but no, I got something far better.
Oh,
I
you
shouldn't
do.
say far better. I've got something I've been wanting to read, and it just fits with Valentine's Day so perfectly.
Did you tell me already and I'm forgetting?
Yes,
Of course. Okay. Well,
Zdarsky, baby.
It's not hitting me right now. But either way, you'll tell me later, and I'll
Yeah,
be pissed that I forgot. But then you said there were some. Actually, I read a few of these AWA titles as well. So, what one do
yeah.
you want to dig into first?
So I want to dig into Not All Robots 5,
Hmm.
because what you talked about last week. It's like, had we known that this was going to be an ongoing series, we would have looked at the series completely differently.
Yeah.
And I get exactly what you mean, because like issue 5 was such a cock tease.
Yeah.
Such a cock tease. The way
Mhm.
that book, what unfolded in that issue, like this is even knowing that this was a 5 issue. I mean, this is going to be an ongoing. Like they're going to have another volume after this.
Mhm.
This should have happened in issue 3, and we should have gotten more of the world that we're introduced to in this issue, like earlier on. Like
Hmm.
issues 2 and 3, to me, like while some important things happened, like I don't know, I feel like you could
You
have
could have
maybe gotten
consolidated those. Like you could
exactly.
have consolidated. Yeah, because it was two. Two, I think three is the one where I had like the real like, wait, what's going on? Because that was the whole thing with the cyborgs, right? We met like the cyborg looking wife, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the end
yeah.
of three. So like it was like okay, cool, but like wait, what? That's the one that really hit me hard. But two, we were absolutely like kind of confused by the direction. If you consolidated those two into one, four, make that into the third one, and then make this one the fourth, it would have flowed a lot better, and it probably wouldn't have mattered as much to us about knowing whether it's ongoing or not. At that point, would have been fine finding out later. Oh, we're going to get more. This is only the first volume of this title.
Right, but the best part of the series was the first issue and the last issue.
Mm,
And what we get introduced to in this last issue wasn't even teased, wasn't even mentioned. There's not even a fucking breadcrumb
mhm.
of this ancillary, this outside world that they introduced.
Yeah,
We needed at least throughout the first arc some breadcrumbs, some teases, because it's written well, right?
mm,
But one, I've said this all along, the satire is a little too much. It's a little too on the nose
mm,
and a little too like in your face.
mm.
But like, had there been like some panels or like I said, some breadcrumbs of showing us this other like thing, it would have been that much better.
I think that is a way that issues could have been resolved because you're right. It's not the dialogue necessarily that's the issue, or it's more the plotting that we see in the course of all
Yeah,
this because the tone of the tone is clear the entire time. What they're trying to accomplish is clear. I don't the satire for me it hits home the whole time. It's just that there are
Don't get
certain
me
parts
wrong.
of
It's not off, but it's just like, oh, okay,
it's too much. It's too much of it. They're getting too in the weeds at times. Where it's like, don't get me wrong. Like we want to learn about these characters who we're going to spend more time with, but you're doing like just things are slowing down too much. When this feels like it could be like ratcheted up to like 10 the entire time. And honestly, I think the breadcrumbs would have helped, but I think you just consolidate 2 and 3 together. Even the surprise we get at the end about this entire outside world still would have like you would have been like, wait a minute, what? You still like it would have been a cool addition, not something you needed to lean on throughout the series.
It was dropped on you. You had no idea of its existence, and it was dropped on you, and then it flies through it, and then it just ends. Like that's a pacing problem, right? That's a pick because it was
that's what the series issue is. 100%. It's a
because
great concept.
It gets so bogged down, and it's almost Berserker level, right? Where like the first issue comes out with a bang and it sets the tone, and then you flatline.
I wouldn't do it to this title. Don't do that to this title.
Well,
Berserker is spinning its tires the entire series, pretty much.
But like both books, right? The first issue comes out, sets the tone.
And 4 was really good too. Right. We let you,
yeah, it was good. Like, but it does, and then you get this big, and again, it's hurt by the fact that we weren't told, initially that it was going to be ongoing, and then you get so it's like it was a giant cock tease at the end.
Yeah, I think.
And had they implanted those seeds a little bit earlier, like in some of the earlier issues, and you had at least some concept, even just a vague reference that it's a complete and utter wasteland outside, it would have changed the dynamic
for sure
for the better.
It absolutely would have helped. But I think that to me, like just adding that is like a Band-Aid that doesn't cover the whole wound. I think it's 2 and 3. Like those issues are that's where the problem is. You consolidate there, and then everything looks like the things that frustrated us are much less of an issue. I think.
Yeah.
Either way,
I just wish that that's how I felt at the end of reading. I'm going, why haven't we heard about this at all yet? Like, if you're gonna do that, you introduce the way it should have been done. It should have ended with her coming out of the chute, landing, outside the walls, and then you just see the militias, and that's how it should have ended. And then you spend the entire second arc doing that backstory of the world outside. You know what I mean? Like, ideally, that's how that's how it should have been done.
Yeah.
They gave us a little too much at the end without properly teasing it beforehand.
That's true.
That makes sense.
No. I agree with you. I agree with you on that front. There's definitely things that could have been done a lot better with the series. In the end, I probably would give it like the first arc, probably like a 7.5. Like, I'm glad I read it because now I think they have a chance to go and kind of figure things out in this second arc. But they definitely dropped the ball on instances where it was a little frustrating.
Yeah, 7.5, 8. But so the real
maybe an 8. Yeah, but it's the beginning.
Teetering.
Yeah, there's like the 3 good issues and then 2 that are like frustrating. Yeah. So yeah, it's in that range.
Caught up on Knighted number 2. Absolutely loved it.
Nice.
The Fourth Man.
Yeah.
This book is fucking awesome, Nicholas, and I'm really upset that we didn't get the review copy, because this is a book I would have loved to have reviewed. And had dropped on New Comic Book Day last week, because this book is awesome.
I couldn't believe that we see one. So with like, obviously we want to be careful about how much detail we go into it, right? But no, whatever.
You can describe the characters.
But the 2 characters that I'm like, wait a minute, is we get one is a Paul Giamatti lookalike, and then the other one is a young James Caan lookalike.
Yeah,
too. It's like, all right. I'm like, at first when I see him, I was like, wait a minute, is that James Caan? Like when he was like playing Sonny? Is that what we're going for here? The Paul Giamatti one too, I had to look at like 3 or 4 times.
And so this is what I love about Diodato's art, is that it's very, he's very realistic while still giving you that comic book feel. And so at the end of the book, if you look, there's he talks about sort of the art process he does. And so like when he's doing books like this, he casts characters in his head. It's like he's casting for a movie, and then that's how he draws. So like when he read the script, he's like, I envisioned, so-and-so playing this part. I envisioned so-and-so playing that part. And then I forget who the writer is on this book. It's McComsey? No.
Yeah.
Is it McComsey?
McComsey, yeah.
And so like I guess he had done all this research and sent him this big packet of saying like, these are the actors I envisioned for, and he's like, oh my God, we're on the same page. So like I love that. Like he's drawing, like he's casting for like a real, because we see that in Resistance. The president looks like Ed Harris.
Yeah, that's
Right?
exactly when I saw Giamatti. I'm like, oh, that's right. This is Deodato's the one that did Ed Harris in Resistance. Yeah, it's
So
funny. But yeah, really, really good first issue. And then with the fourth man too, like you totally get it as you're reading. Like this is a 4-issue story and everything. It all makes a lot of sense. So really, really promising first issue for sure.
And then the other one I caught up, and we can both discuss this one, is Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal number 8.
Yes, so I did. We didn't get this. Just again, issues with review copies and everything happens all the time with companies. But we didn't get to talk about Marjorie Finnegan in the finale last week. Of course, that came out. And Joe and I had been, talk about certain series having a little bit of a pacing issue. This is one where read issue 8, Joe, and I was like, this is good. This would have been a lot better if we had gotten this sooner. Like this
again. Yeah. Said it all along. It should have been 6 issues, not 8.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a little too much fluff in there, if you will. I think we saw it in issues, like 6 and 7. Like we didn't necessarily need those 2 issues. They didn't really add much. Yeah, we get a backstory on the head, and we get some character development between Marge and her sister Harry. But like, I don't know, this thing was like cooking with gas, and then it just kind of came to a screeching halt, and then ended with a bang. I mean, it was a great ending. It was a great finale. It just was 2 issues. Longer than it should have been.
It's just strange because we're getting background in certain areas where it's like, okay, like I don't mind a little bit of this and some of it getting mixed in the story, but I don't. There's just too much of it. I mean, like the big overweight guy that like who's supposed to know everything, like that whole issue, like to me was the biggest waste of them all. I didn't quite get that. And you talk about the stuff with Tim, the head that Marge carries around the whole time. That was more interesting. That backstory, sure, I like that, but
I didn't need an entire issue of it though.
And after all this other stuff we've gotten, it's just like, wait, what? And there's no like real payoff. Like there's like one moment like at the end where it's like, okay, like did we have the whole issue just for that moment right there in the final thing? It was odd. I didn't understand that. So
to me there was zero payoff. It was unneeded because this world is so bananas, right? It's so screwed up that seeing a head in a case that is her partner, like you believe that you don't need any context for him, unless he had something impact of the finale, and he didn't.
Yeah,
there was zero pay. There was that one moment, but there was zero payoff. Like you didn't need it at all. It didn't add anything. Didn't change. What the finale was, and so it was almost like, oh shit, we committed to 8. We need to have 8. Let's do an issue on this.
Yeah, and I don't understand it, but other than maybe the issue you ran into, but I would think that Ennis kind of had an idea what he was going to do. But like the Lord of Evil too, like his whole plan was brilliant, definitely evil. But this is, other than when we kind of learn what his plan is, this issue was absolutely that character's best issue. Don't get me wrong. I like that the last issue is his best issue, but it's just, other than when we first learned his plan, like the details of his plan, outside of that, I was like, this guy kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't do it for me enough. Like, it's just, like, he's this all powerful thing. Like, he just wears a shirt that says "Sexy Beast," and yes, he's kind of unassuming. You'd assume the devil next to him is the real Lord of Evil. Yeah, Stan. But like, so it was just, it was odd. And like it's a solid series in the end. But definitely, again, like you said it's 2 issues too long. I think that's where you make this into a 6-issue thing, and then we're having a much different conversation.
Agreed.
But so got to finish that. Got to read the first issue of Bylines and Blood from Aftershock. Solid. Enough for me to go and pick up the next issue. But I would say solid. I wouldn't necessarily go beyond that. And then the final issue of Inferno came out, and I got a little behind on that one. Wasn't able to read it before last episode. But if you read the X-Men stuff like that before they did the whole reset with Krakoa and everything, and you've been away, this is a good spot to jump back in, because they're going to be doing a lot of stuff a lot of stuff spinning out of this. It's kind of, I think, what is it the way, because I think Benjamin Percy kind of, there's a change in narrative and everything like that, narration, whatever, in the tone, like you can tell there was now a huge shift with this series because of what's happened with the key players that are involved, like all in Krakoa. Now you got all mutants and stuff, but it's just much like with Trials of Magneto, where you see like what Wanda's major effect on Krakoa. Now with this, you're seeing like other key players that were kind of handling things at the beginning of Krakoa. Now this is like a big check-in point with a lot of them. So definitely read this series if you've been away for a while and want to get back into all the X-Men stuff as they kind of shift things around. But really, really good series for sure. All right. And now it is time for us to finally to get over to what's new. And we'll pick up where we left off and go with Marvel. We got Amazing Spider-Man 85, Star Wars 20, Star Wars Bounty Hunters 20, X-Men Legends 10, Devil's Reign Superior 4 issue 1, which I did read that. Did you get a chance to pick that up before?
I haven't read it yet.
Okay,
Yep.
It was good. I really enjoyed it. And I'm assuming this is going to be. No, I know we're getting at least another issue of it. Definitely promising. The Death of Doctor Strange Bloodstone issue 1, Wastelanders Black Widow issue 1, which I might pick that up. The Thing issue 3, King Conan issue 2, Marvel Voices Heritage issue 1. Then for the stuff that you read, Joe, what do you got? Yeah, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, issue 3, and Dark Hawk 5. Excuse me. I picked up, or I decided to read in the review copy, Star Wars: The High Republic, Eye of the Storm, issue 1. Now I've said that the High Republic's been a little disappointing for me, but I saw this cover, Joe, and I was like, whoa! You got this dude who's got this badass armor, and he's holding a yellow lightsaber, which, I mean, like, anytime we're mixing different colored lightsabers, I'm interested. And then it's like, what? Just like way too much backstory about people I don't even know anything about. And like it's not character. I'm not familiar with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, like there's, and I look at the next cover, it's like, oh, that looks awesome too. This character, like the character has an interesting backstory for sure, but it's just like, too much at once for me to take in. Like so I'm still gonna go and give the next issue a chance because I do this with Star Wars. I always forgive it all the time, like everybody else. We want the next thing because we think it could be cool, and because this character, the main character, could be very, very cool. But I'm treading cautiously through this. But like the potential there, like, is definitely more so than I think what the mainline High Republic has given me so far. And then we got 2 books that we both picked up from Marvel this week. We got Dark Ages 4 and then Daredevil Woman Without Fear issue 1. Which one do you want to look at first?
Let's start with Dark Ages. Did you read it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So good. Oh my god. It's so good. I love it. I love it. Taylor's kicking ass. And who's the artist? I gotta pull that image up because the artist in that
is it
series,
Caballo?
I don't know. But go ahead. What I mean, like, it was.
But
it's so much fun.
We've been talking about this book from the get-go, and we're 4 issues in now. Like, get on it. Like, this, like, I didn't know how I felt about this issue. Like the first half of the book, it's like, okay, like issue 3, issues 1, 2, and 3 were really freaking good, and this one's like, oh, okay, all right, where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? And then you go, oh fuck. What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Are you fucking me? What's going on here? And now it's like, I need 5. I need it now. I need it right fucking now. It is so friggin' good.
Yeah, this is one of those series where it's like we say this. I don't think we say this a whole lot, but like when you think about like what comics are supposed to be about when you're dealing with characters that are like fun and we like them all, like Dark Knights of Steel is kind of that. Like it's its own self-contained thing, but it's characters we're familiar with and you're putting them in really fun, interesting positions. Yep. Actually, which that is another one that did I catch up on that one? No, I didn't get. I did read that one. Yes, I did. But that series has been great. But this is a similar thing, right? Not in the sense like this is a different kind of Dark Ages, but these are characters we're familiar with, and we're having fun, and we're dicking around, and it's Tom Taylor too. It's like no one's ever really safe in these stories either.
Yeah, these are like Black Label type stories,
right?
That we like, right? You're taking characters, you're not telling canon stories, so you can have fun with it.
And Ivan Coelho.
Yeah, that was. Yep.
I don't think I'm familiar with Ivan's work.
Oh, he's done some good stuff. Yeah, he's done some good stuff.
I've loved this series. I mean, in that first thing you get to is Pirate Nightcrawler. That's the first page you see. It's like,
oh yeah, eye patch.
Give me that shit all friggin' day.
But Taylor's having a ball with this shit, right? I mean, he's going nuts, and he's doing an excellent job. So, Dark Ages 4, like get on it, read it. You can probably still grab copies at your local comic shop. So get on that. And then my man Zdarsky, I got to wrap this up. Nick told me we had to keep it in 30 minutes today.
No, we're fine. I said it to you beforehand so that we have a time limit, but no, of course it's out the door now, Joe. Look at this. We're in Marvel, and it's not even 30. It's almost 30 minutes. The start of the segment.
Zdarsky's, so we've got the end of Daredevil. We're in Devil's Reign, and we get so Daredevil, Woman Without Fear, #1 is Elektra's story, and you get a bit of this in Devil's Reign issue 2. And I fucking love this because, as I've said all along, like Zdarsky gets the character Daredevil like no one else, and his grasp on these characters and what he's done with them and how he's transformed them without like completely like changing their DNA. Like where Elektra is now and where she's come from, it's a huge change, but he's done so methodically so that it's believable and it doesn't feel like it's coming out of left field. And the story that he tells in this book with her and everything with Matt and the hand and the shit that he drops is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. And for me, some of the cool stuff too is like seeing the moment with the flashbacks from their days at Columbia too.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, like this is just stuff that happened, ages ago, like before I was born in comics. So it's kind of cool seeing Zdarsky bring it all back. And like that's what's so I think is a challenge sometimes with dealing with legacy characters. You have all this stuff that's happened already. How do you use that source material effectively without just being that? And Zdarsky does it so well too. And like you said, he's taken his time with this character, and that better than I do. But it's been. I've really enjoyed this. As someone who's still behind on Daredevil, like I'm still very much able to enjoy this series, and I can't say it enough. Like I love this look for Elektra. She's awesome.
Oh, I know, and the way it ended.
Yeah.
Right. The way it ended, and this is a perfect example. We had some breadcrumbs of this. When I saw it, it hit me over over the head like a sack of bricks. But then I'm recalling some shit I believe from Devil's Reign, and like there were some breadcrumbs here. I should have seen this coming, but oh man, the way it ends is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, if you like Daredevil and you've only been able to pay attention to the peripheral or from what Joe's saying every time on TLDR, you can still get in on this series. You can still absolutely enjoy it because I've read some of Daredevil, but I am absolutely behind and I'm still loving every little bit of this because, if you know the character, you're going to be able to get by on it. But move over to DC. We have Detective Comics 1048, which you're reading, and then the Joker 11. Are you caught up on the Joker?
I have to read this issue, but I'm caught up to this point.
Okay. Batman Urban Legends, Batgirls 2, which are two titles that I've been reading, as well as Future State Gotham issue 9. Then we have I Am Batman 5, Harley Quinn Eat Bang Kill Tour issue 5, Titans 5, Justice League versus the Legion of Superheroes issue 1, which neither of us are picking up, Pennyworth 6, which is this a 7-issue series?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 7 or 12.
Maybe
definitely
12.
didn't end at 6, but it was fantastic.
Yeah, I know you've been liking that series a lot, and I know hopefully you can talk about that on the show when all that wraps up, or maybe with the first arc. But the other one that came out this week, that's the big one for us that we've been waiting to dig into, is Robin and Batman. Speaking of Jeff Lemire, this is the final issue of that story he was working on, which is not a Black Label thing. It's its own. It's definitely within the Batman Robin universe and everything. But this is Dick Grayson's story about him becoming Robin, like the steps just before him, like finally getting the armor and everything, the outfit, and then just a little bit like his first experience. And I absolutely love this. This was an outstanding series. If you like Batman, if you like Dick Grayson, I absolutely recommend you guys pick this one up. And I know Joe's going to echo me on this to some extent, but and this was a great ending. The second issue for me, though, the stuff with the Justice League was absolutely my favorite part of the entire series. It was so friggin' like thinking about it, like as a kid-parent relationship, like pretty fucked up.
Yeah. And I mean, I just wax poetic about Chip Zdarsky understanding his characters. Jeff Lemire, right? it's the thing that's always drawn me to his work in general, his character work, and like understanding Dick, like a young Dick Grayson, and Batman, like that father son relationship there, like he just friggin' nailed it. But again, that father son relationship with Alfred and
Yeah.
Dick, right?
Hmm.
Like,
We're seeing that in Tom Taylor,
yeah, I've
right?
been saying this now for a couple of weeks. Like, Alfred has, like, I don't know, he's become this. I don't know. He's this character now that I look at in a much different light because of the way he's been written by Lemire, by Taylor, and even Tynan before Tynan killed him off.
Mm.
There's something about him that, like, he's all the good parts of what Batman should be, right? He's like,
Yeah.
he really is the yin to Batman's yang, right?
Yeah.
And as much of a dick as Bruce Wayne is, you've got Alfred there who is just as smart, just as wise, but he's caring. And so the way that he interacts with, also in the Robin series with Joshua Williamson,
Hmm.
the ghost of Alfred, right? And the role that he plays, with Damian there. There's something very special about that character, and it really shines through in this series. And I love the artwork because it was all watercolors, which I think just gave it an extra, like, it helped with the tone.
Hmm.
Because even though, like, you think of watercolors, it's kind of loose, but it also gave it a grittiness, which
Hmm.
I enjoyed, and it was absolutely fantastic.
You're right. It did have a grittiness to it, and I don't know if I ever thought about it in that sense, just because it's watercolor. But that says a lot too
Yeah,
about how that was done, because that's just, to me, I would think that'd be a lot harder to get that kind of
yeah.
across, so that sort of thing. But also has to do with like the pencil work of it too. Although was it really pencil work, or was it just all watercolor? It's got to be
Well, I mean,
pencil work.
there was pencil
Yeah,
work, because you
because
can't.
like Croc was so like he was someone who looked so like raw. It felt like
Yeah,
in the
especially
story.
young Croc too, right? When you see
Mm.
that right, the
It's funny
emaciated Croc.
when you say that. That's the first Croc I was thinking of after. And it's partially coming off of the third issue, but yeah, the
Yeah,
young Croc was definitely like, oh boy.
yeah.
But yeah, this was an awesome series, and it just, anytime you go back in time with a character that is a legacy character and you try and fill a certain gap, to me, I would think that's got to be one of the hardest things to do in comics, if not the absolute hardest thing to do, because it's like, okay, you're going to go in this certain period of time. You have to know the history really well, but it's that way, you pay respect to it, but at the same time, you're not going to go and like repeat it necessarily like someone else's work. I got to imagine that's a very challenging thing to do. But then, like, and then make it feel like it belonged the whole time. Like this was absolutely part of the story the entire time. We just didn't know exactly. And that's exactly how Robin and Batman feels from start to finish. Awesome series, fun read. These are all, I think, double-sized issues, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Something like
I
that.
mean, you're close to it. You're
Yeah.
close to it, but it reads super quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So pick up that trade when it comes out, or obviously if you've been on board the whole time, that issue is available at your local comic shop on New Comic Book Day this week. We go over to Boom, Mighty Morphin 15. We have the Altarian War going on right now over there. Been some great stuff from Ryan Parrott. And then Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer, issue 2. Image, we have another big week. You can't say banner week for Image because it's like
It's just a
you just
regular week for Image at this point.
Yep. Department of Truth 15, which of course you are reading. Undiscovered Country 18, which we're both reading. What's the Furthest Place from Here? Issue 3. Rain issue 1, which I was hoping you were going to give that one a peek. I do think
I
I'm interested.
tried. I got like a page in, and I said, "No, I'm reading something else." Not that I'm not going to go back to reading it, but like I had other books I wanted to make sure I read for this week, and after
Hmm.
reading a page, like, I'll come back and read this later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I didn't realize what we talked about it a while back. And I know it's Joe Hill, but I just haven't. I gotta give that one a look because I'm not
Yeah.
certain on that one, of course. But how do you know until you read it? Inkblot 15. Then we have King of Spies issue 2, which I did not get to look at yet
Oh,
before
it's
the show.
fantastic.
Yeah, okay. We didn't get we have to like put in an extra request for the review copy. So that's why there's no review out for me this week. But I could not be more excited going into the second issue, and I'm setting myself up to be let down because it was so good. But I have confidence in Millard to continue forward with this one. But then we have my favorite book that I haven't read yet, The Good Asian issue 8, which you had something apparently you wanted to say.
I just every time you like think this book has sort of reached its its peak, its pinnacle, it just gets better and better. I
Oh,
mean, it's like,
must be
did you ever watch
nice.
the movie L.A. Confidential?
No.
Oh, watch it. It's a really good movie. But again, it's just that early crime noir. It's fantastic. It is
Mm.
like it is a tremendous crime story, and again, it had a nice last issue. Had an oh fuck moment. This issue has another like, oh what? So this has been absolutely fantastic.
So is this a limited series? Not limited, but like does this have like a finite or
Well,
is it
so it
on?
was supposed to be. I was reading it was only supposed to be 9 issues,
Okay.
and it's going on longer. I don't know if it's going to be ongoing, but it's definitely not stopping at 9. So
So
whether
you,
it's 12 or whatever, but
do you think you're gonna do the episode for the show after 9? Is that the plan? Like the
well, I don't
earliest?
know because the way the author was describing it, he's just like that was the original plan, but then um, you know the um, the Stop Asian Hate movement started, and that kind of changed his sort of perception of how he was going to tackle the book. And then the editor said, no, you got to keep going with this. It's such a good story. So again, I don't know. I'll have to do some research because if it's only going to be say go from 9 to 12, I'm going to wait until 12 and then do it once it's I'd much rather do it when it's completed
That's
uh,
fair.
because of
That's
the
fair.
story that it is.
Hmm.
So I'll just have to make that decision down the road.
Okay, so you're telling me that the title that I called dibs on and then you stole from me in broad daylight, I'm gonna have to continue to wait for on, even though it's supposed to end at 9. Got it. Okay, got it. Clear. All right. Nice. Not bullshit at all. All right, so we go to so then we talked about it a little bit earlier. Of course, we talked to the writer about this a while ago. But we finally got to read the Scorched issue 1. I
Oh
reviewed it on Geeks Worldwide, and like absolutely pays off on the action, absolutely pays off on the craziness. Um, Sean talked a little bit about how writing Gunslinger, who's now got his own title and everything too, but there's a little bit of a different experience here. We get a tie into Spawn's universe, I mean, to King Spawn, excuse me, and then of course we get a lot more She Spawn. You just get everything that you're going to hear in that interview from Sean and more. Like it's an awesome first issue, and I feel great about this title.
yeah, yeah. The violence was fantastic,
Ugh,
and I feel like they haven't even scratched the surface.
yeah,
Just some of the panels you get
the
with
wolf
Gunslinger
stuff.
Spawn.
Yes,
Oh yeah, I mean all of it, all of it. It's just it's it's so fucking good. Like for anyone who enjoys Spawn, you're gonna love it. But like
yeah.
I still have to catch up on the last two mainline issues, which I'm not exactly like, oh fuck, I gotta go back and read those. But like for the King Spawn stuff and the Gunslinger Spawn stuff, like those are top of the stack each week.
Yep.
Must reads, and this is right there with it. And part of it, I feel like with the mainline Spawn, it's just like I don't know, just kind of like I
It's
don't feel like I need it with what I'm getting between King Spawn, Gunslinger Spawn, and now this.
It's what and like that's where like McFarlane has struck gold with this because Sean has done a great job with this. Like he's off to a really good start with the Scorched, and his first arc with King Spawn absolutely kicked ass. King Spawn is the best Spawn book right now, no questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not that's not even up for debate. I don't think anybody who loves Spawn is going to go and say otherwise. I still like the main Spawn, but it is absolute like it has moved down the power rankings very quickly among the 4 Spawn books now. Because the Scorched has an outstanding start, and like this is one for those who haven't picked it up yet or whatever. It's different in quite a few ways from King Spawn, but to me the biggest difference is with King Spawn. As much as Javier Fernandez's art is great and I absolutely love it, and even when he's doing the covers too, it's been great. Sean's writing also stands out a lot. Like it's more together,
Mm-hmm.
like a equal partnership in that sense. I'm not saying Sean's not doing a great job of Scorched, but what I mean is this is all about the action, all about the craziness. And as much as he's the one that's writing all the stuff that's like being drawn on the page and everything, he seems to be more like facilitating in this instance. And we talked about it with him a little bit about what the difference experience was like. But that's what I get out of this. So we're like, I give like that is I think it's takes a different set of skills to do, and definitely presents its own challenges. To me, I'm gonna look at Sean's best work more so as Kingspawn, because like it's just I know it's only one issue of the Scorched, but that to me is like where he's really getting to stand out. With this, he did a great job, but it's like kind of like making sure that he just keeps everything on pace in a cohesive story, and he absolutely knocks it out of the park.
He's tying all the threads together.
Yeah.
Right. So that it just doesn't seem like it's an independent story of everything else that's going on.
Yeah, definitely not.
He's able to, balance what's going on really between, because the two biggest, like it was Kingspawn and the Scorched, I feel are deeply rooted and connected with each other.
Yeah.
It makes sense because he's writing them both, because what's happening in, mainline Spawn and what's happening in Gunslinger Spawn are independent, but you get those threads pulled together a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. And it was just so fucking good.
Yeah.
It was just, again, quick read, bloody, art was fantastic. This is what I want.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I'm really enjoying Gunslinger, but I do look at that differently. Like I have a different set of expectations, and that's really like, as much as Todd's writing that book, and look, he's got his hands in all of these things. Like I look at that as like Brett Booth's book to shine. Like he's the one that's drawing everything, and he's showing off and whatnot, and he's been great in that series. To me, the art is telling that story more than anything else. I think Kingspawn is like the most complete thing of the 4 books right now, and that's great. Like we get a little bit of everything. Like the team book still has a different vibe than Gunslinger Spawn, and then Spawn is, I'm still going to read Spawn, like that's not going to change, but it's definitely like in a different has a different appeal to me than the other stuff does. But I like right now, coming off of the Scorched, recency bias or whatever, like to me, I'm probably with you that it's probably Kingspawn, Scorched, Gunslinger, and then Spawn. But it's really like the 2 and 3, like I could go either way. They're both.
Kingspawn makes mainline Spawn obsolete to me, to be honest with you. Like I'm gonna keep reading it because I like reading it, and it's going somewhere. But like, I don't need that. I get what I need. Like Kingspawn what should have happened is we shouldn't have had a separate Kingspawn title. McFarlane should have just given the reins to Spawn to Sean, and let that be the driving force, and then you could have Scorched and Gunslinger come off that, and
maybe it would have made more sense to have it. You know what? Maybe down the line. I mean, just my opinion. But what maybe down the line you take away Kingspawn, put Sean on that, and then on Spawn, and then you create maybe something like a She Spawn title, like, and give her her own thing. We don't know how, like, because there's a part in the Scorched where it's like, oh wait, what? Like there's one line that Sean, like his best line of the whole thing too, is like, he's talking about the formation, but then there's like a slight twist after he's talking about that. I'm like, wait, what? So like it's he can go in a lot of different directions with it. So yeah, like I would have him do as much as possible with Spawn right now. Like he's got it going right now. He's got a great feel for this universe really early on. So I'm very excited to see what he does going forward, of course. So finally, we got all the 4 Spawn books going forward. So we should be getting one every week, pretty much, right? So
I think so. Yeah,
pretty crazy. To round things out, we got Aftershock, Maniac of New York, The Bronx is Burning, issue 2, which you still got to talk about the original Maniac of New York. Who's going to talk about that on the show is up for debate. We shall see, because I do have all those. Haven't read them yet because I'm waiting for you. Skybound, Stillwater, issue 12, of course, the Zdarsky book that you are reading.
I don't ever remember calling dibs on it, but, hey, I guess so.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Duly noted. You definitely didn't call dibs. You said someone been talking to you about reading it and you had it, so you were planning on it, but then my guy at Time Capsule said, like, hey, you'll like this, take all these. Okay. Anyways, IDW Star Wars The High Republic Adventures issue 12. AWA, we have Knighted 3 and Hotel Volume 2 issue 2. Still waiting. We were supposed to get We Have Demons 3, I think, this week. We're still waiting on that. Still not up. Then from Vault, we have Rewrite Titans issue 1 and Lunar Room issue 2. And then from Dynamite, I I don't know if like you want me to lay off of this because you're planning on doing a Red Sonja thing.
No, you can read this if you want. Like, I'm definitely doing Mirka Andolfo's Red Sonja book, but like, I don't have claim to all Red Sonja properties.
Okay, well, I just don't want to take away from anything from when you did the episode, but Hell Sonja issue 1 is out this week. I know you're excited about that one.
So yeah, if they have, I mean, I'm going to buy it digitally if I can't find it in Newbury, but I'm actually looking forward to reading more Red Sonja, which is the huge props to Mirka Andolfo.
Nice. She's great. Of course, we love her. Someone we should probably have on. We should try and get on the show at some point down the line because we've praised her enough on here that we need to ask her questions and whatnot. Especially after we talk about Sweet Paprika, we can start trying to work towards that because that's where I really have the questions. But anyways, so that is it for our abbreviated version of TLDR. It is abbreviated. We're still under an hour. But make sure if you guys haven't already, go listen to the Scorched interview with Sean, which if you're watching us, drops Wednesday at midnight. If you're listening to us in audio version, it is now live for you to listen to. But Joe, you guys got Pineapple Boys this week?
We do. We have the season finale. One of the
16?
greatest season finales in TV history.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So is this season 3, episode 16?
Correct.
Okay, nice. Yep. And make sure you guys go follow Joe on Twitch as well. Some of you watch us over there, of course. And then change my mind this week. We did a draft with Rossi. We did a Build a Cinema draft. I think it was year 2015. We actually did, which the first overall pick in a year that we have Star Wars, Force Awakens, and Ant-Man, Jurassic World. The first Jurassic World was taken. Thank you.
Was that Rossi?
No, it was Wes.
Oh, well, Wes isn't the Star Wars guy, so that makes sense why he didn't take Force Awakens.
Yeah, but I would have I took Ant-Man. I had the second pick, and to me, that's the best one of the year.
Yeah, I got to take a look at 2015, but that's a solid pick.
Make sure if any of you decide to vote on that poll when it goes out, make sure you listen to Rossi's explanations of his picks because he picked some good ones. Maybe he hasn't seen 1, 2, or 3 of those movies on his roster, like a 6-movie roster. So kind of bullshit. Just want to throw that out there to everybody. Make sure you vote for me is what I'm trying to get at. Okay. So until next week, Joe, which actually next week we have our Saga special, which will be broadcast at night on Tuesday. Not sure on the exact time. Or maybe I am. I just have it on my phone. I can't remember, but we will share that with you guys. But we have Rich Keefe is going to be joining us from #Dork to do a Saga special with the book coming back, not next week, but the following week. So until then, Joe, stay sexy.
You know it.